Okay, hello everybody. It's Monday, which means that we are doing our week in review and week ahead at Conservation Voters, New Mexico. We are joined today, or I am joined today by our two legislative advocates that we have on staff here. You all know Old Hand, our public lands and wildlife advocate, Greg Peters. And I'm excited to introduce our brand new climate and energy advocate, Ms. Samantha Cow. Sammy, do you want to give a quick hello?
Yeah, sure. Hey everyone, my name is Sammy. I'm the new climate and energy advocate here at CVNM, like Ben said. I come from a legal background. I graduated from UNM School of Law in May of 2019, and happy to be here now.
Welcome, Sammy. We're excited to have you on board. Sammy is watching everything climate and energy related, which feels like it's about 75 to 80% of the bills in the roundhouse. It's probably actually realistically lower than that, but it sure feels like that right now. Guys, we're like 3 weeks in. We're starting our third full week at the legislature. How are we feeling? What's the mood? What do the days look like here?
That's a good question. It's a lot of sitting in your office, staring at a computer screen and waiting for people to respond to your nonstop texts and phone calls going out there. It's really about embracing the benefits and trials and tribulations of technology right now. So that's us as advocates, that's legislators, and the public. There have definitely been some hiccups, amongst all of the groups. I think at the end of this session, everyone's going to have a masterful sense of how to properly use Zoom and some of these other virtual platforms. So it's been a little bit of a struggle if people have been adapting at different, paces, with the new virtual session. But at the same time, it allows for greater involvement with the legislative process. A lot more engagement. You no longer have to get in your car and drive to Santa Fe, which can be a day-long engagement for a lot of New Mexicans.
It's been an interesting thing to see the geographic diversity of people participating, and it's also been interesting to me to see how quickly broadband access bills are gaining momentum in this session, where broadband access and reliable internet access is a real barrier to participation more than it ever has been. So it's been interesting to see that conversation is actually manifesting itself in the legislation that's moving. Sammy, you're starting not just a strange virtual session, but your first session ever. Coming in brand new to this process, what are your impressions? Do you just wake up every day feeling seasick, and how's it feel?
It's interesting. I've been involved with legislative sessions before, but definitely not at this capacity. Before it was just me and a bunch of law students trying to get a cup of coffee with our representatives. So this is definitely much more involved. And I think doing it on this virtual kind of on a virtual platform is interesting. I feel like there's good and bad. And I like to call them seances because you're like, hello, are you there? You're muted. Like, is anybody there? So that's kind of what it feels like. But they're like, Greg was saying, it allows a lot of people to be involved. Like I was a part of a few, not a part of, just watching some meetings with kids who were testifying in supporting bills. So that's interesting. I feel like in a regular session that wouldn't have been possible, but for Senator Sewell's bill for the voltaic systems in schools, a lot of young kids were like, yeah, this is our future. We want to be a part of the solution. So that was really great. But overall, it's just been an upward learning curve, but it's been good to kind of just see all of the bills go from being kind of this abstract contactless, all these documents, to actually seeing them be more like concrete, and it's been cool. I like it.
That's great. It's an interesting year. We got a big freshman class, a lot of new legislators kind of coming in. Anybody new kind of catching your eye that jumps out at you guys? Anybody that's kind of been notable both for either the bills they're sponsoring or the way they're speaking to stuff in committee? I mean, who's hit the ground running in a way that's impressed you?
One person I'm really excited about, as you mentioned, Ben, is Christina Ortez out of District 42, based in Taos County. She has a deep environmental and land ethic, and I'm really excited to have her on House Energy, Environment, and Natural Resources. I think that's a voice, someone who's directly connected with the land, and his career is oriented around conservation and environmental protection. I'm really excited to see kind of name she makes for herself on that committee. And she's got some bills out right now. I mean, she jumped in. I think she's got seven or eight bills that she's trying to run right now, which for a freshman in the House is ambitious. And that says a lot about her following up on her priorities that brought her into the Roundhouse. I'm really excited to see what Representative Ortez does in this session.
Nice. So one of the things that, Sammy mentioned, we spend a lot of time just sort of waiting for our bills to come up, a lot of time watching committees, just watching bills, watching people work on stuff that's maybe not necessarily our issue. One of the fun things is that you get to spend a lot of time sort of learning about issue areas that are outside of environmental protection, outside of conservation. Anything jump out at you as being bills that are not on our agenda, that we're not just sort of working on and thinking about all day, every day, but that kind of have your interest personally? Anything non-environmental moving that looks particularly interesting?
Yeah, I've been looking at House Bill 40. It's the Private Detention Facility Moratorium Act. It's sponsored by Rubio and Bash, and I feel like there's a couple others on there, but it basically prohibits operation and management of detention centers here in New Mexico by private contractors, which is wonderful. So people cannot be profiting off of people sitting and rotting in jail cells. And I have a special affinity for this bill because I used to work my 1L summer. I was with Santa Fe Dreamers Project, which is a nonprofit immigration firm in Santa Fe, and they do everything free of charge, do a lot of DACA work, do a lot of asylum work. In my summer there, we went to the Cibola Detention Center out in Milan near Grants, New Mexico, helping people with their asylum cases. And it was just appalling to see that these people who are presenting at the border, the legal way to do this, and they're treated like prisoners. This is just a really good bill in terms of making sure that New Mexico has no part in this kind of business. So it would prohibit all state and local governments from entering into new contracts with these private contractors, and then extending contracts or expanding would also be prohibited. And any existing contracts right now would be, in the next several years, basically phased out. So it got a due pass recommendation in House Consumer and Public Affairs, and it's going to be heard in House Judiciary on the 8th this week. So really exciting, really great step for New Mexico being progressive.
Awesome flag. Thank you, Sammy, for bringing that up. House Bill 40, folks. Keep an eye on it. Guys, that's our update for this week. We're going to have an awesome week. Please remember to check us out on social media. We're facebook.com/conservationvotersnm. You can find us on Twitter @protectnm. We'll keep you posted on everything that's going forward. We are your CVNM advocacy and policy team. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for support. Have a great week.